All right, it's next day. Glue should be all set up. I'll take some time, take all these clamps off. Clamps! Should only take me 2 to 17 hours to get them all off. And then we'll look how it's set up and then route up the edges.
All right, let's get all the clamps off. It didn't take too long. I'm really glad I added all the weight as well as the clamps because that really helped all the braces in the between the two pieces of plywood to really stick together and adhere to each other. Luckily for me, there wasn't that much squeeze out there because I am once again using my extremely dull chisel, but it cleaned up quite nicely, so let's get to routing those edges.
All right, squared up all the edges so everything's flush enough anyway. Need to get some dust collection going on my router. I am dusty. Okay, so the next bit is going to be cutting the edge pieces. Not 100% sure how I'm going to do this yet. I think I'm going to cut them to length first. They need to be at least 2 inches longer than what I need. And then that way I can back into the 45-degree cut because I can always trim a little off if it's too long. Don't really feel like gluing it back together if I cut it too short. So we're going to see. All right, let's get cut.
All right, gonna measure up all the lengths and widths there so I can measure twice and cut once and then trim.
16th here, 16th there. It's not too shabby. Let's get the edges cut down to length at least. We're gonna add at least 2 inches. Yeah, at least 2 inches. I'm probably gonna add more like 2.5 to the entire length of each piece. What I'm gonna do is cut. I've got the 1x4s. I'm gonna cut. Let's see. So it's 64. I'm gonna cut a 66-inch piece, and then a 30, 38, 39-inch piece. And then I'm going to take that and split it in two on the table saw. I want to break it up to the small pieces first, so I'm not using this unwieldy and cumbersome 10-foot piece to put through. Plus, I'm not going to use all of it, so I can use the cutoff for, I don't know, some cutting boards or decorative keychains, something. I don't know.
And we'll go ahead and cut the edges to length here, and then we'll move it on over to the table saw to split them in two. And here we are splitting the edges in two. Off camera, I ran the outside piece through again just to make sure everything was exactly even.
All right.
So here we'll go ahead and cut the 45-degree angle on the corner pieces so we can have the overhang of both edges come together and look pretty sharp and hopefully pointy.
Okay, so here's how this is going to work. We've got to line up our 45-degree end here. That's going to go down here, this end. We'll line it up at the very end, like such. Like that. And then we'll mark down here. So I'll take it over to the miter saw. Should probably be using a square for this, but like I said, this isn't going to be a precise cut to start with. So it doesn't really matter too much. We're going to cut over here, and the cut will come like this, and then come measure it up, put another piece on, and measure it up. So hopefully, let's see if this miter saw even cuts 45s correctly. Okay. All right. Happy with that. Shoot. Whatever. Hot dang. Hot dang. Music in Australia.
Cutting the other 45. Alright, so we're getting the fit here. I went ahead and just started backing into the cuts, just a hair's width cut. I go back and forth to the miter saw a dozen times. Probably not that many, but a few times just to get it lined up. I wish it was first try, but it was not. Well, I forgot to record the glue up of the table edges. Just believe me, it involved a lot of clamps. Here I'm just routing the corners, the sharp edges off of the table legs. If you want to check out the table leg build, it's up in the corner. Click on that. That's the first video in this series.
Okay, so I've got the two legs on this side, dry fit. They're not glued or screwed in. I basically just have them here so I can measure out. This should be right at 30 inches. The table's 36 across, and each one of these is 3 inches. So that's quick maths. That's 6 inches. Quicker maths. It should be 30, and it is slightly less than 30, which makes sense. I think when we measured earlier, one side was about an 8 off, 16th, 8 off. This is about a 16th or an 8 off. Maybe 3/32, so right in between. Yeah, so I'll put that in. Cut the skirts, pocket holes, chamfer, pocket hole and glue these two in. And then that skirt's going to be here, and I'm going to clamp it down because there is, like I mentioned earlier, a slight bow to this, to the tabletop because of the clamps that I have on. I think it's because of the clamps I have on. Again, kind of let that set, but I want to go ahead and get this stuff, sorry about that, get this stuff in, or at least cut, and then when I get this on, then I can put the end piece on, like so, glue that on, and that's going to help twofold because I don't really have a way to clamp these long ways, so I've got to figure something out there, which is probably that figuring out is probably just going to be, I don't know. I'll get it figured out though. Anyway, yeah, and then once that's on, I need to then do some minute fixing here. Does that matter which way? It shouldn't. And it doesn't. Yay, I guess. So, yeah. Why is it so high over here? Oh, that's why. That's why. Up there. So, yeah, again, this is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll get it looking as good as we can. Oh, that's what's happening. The edges are, because it's bowed like that, the panels like that are like this. The ends of the skirts here. So this isn't exactly lining up. It seems to be, needs to be twisted. It's because the whole top is twisted. So that makes me feel better. That made me real nervous there for a second. I thought I'd mess something up real bad. Messed it up, maybe. Real bad, not so much. Fixable. So let's get to working on, I need to cut the skirts and drill pocket holes and chamfers and all that stuff. So let's do it.
So I forgot to record the drilling of the pocket holes. It's pretty boring, unless you really like pocket holes, then it's not so boring. But anyway, you can see here on that far end there was a gap, and I used the clamps to pull it down to hopefully straighten out the table. Of course, multiple clamps. I'm going to pull the legs in, also going to help with the bow. Plus, you always want to use clamps when you're doing pocket holes just to make sure the pieces don't back out from each other. I learned that the hard way on a couple of projects.
This up. I love this miter station. Drew Fisher's design. I mentioned it. I'll put it again in the description of this video. If you haven't seen video 1, here, one of those places, I'll put it up. I love it. I can't get around with it all extended, but I can just put it down and get around the shop just fine. Garage just fine.
So here I'm cutting the long ends of the skirts, long sides of the skirts. Again, I cut them a little long so I can just back into them and keep coming through the miter saw to take a little off so it fits nice and square.
Oh, crud. Which one of these is the right one? This dude's the longer one. Okay, so let's move this dude over here.
So you do get to see me drill some pocket holes after all. I really like pocket holes. Apparently a lot of people don't. I like them. They're pretty strong. They're concealed, which I really like. You don't see them on the outside. So I use them quite often. In most of my projects, actually, there are pocket holes. I love this Craig jig. It is really easy to use. It's compact, so you don't take up a lot of space with it. Here you can see the gap where the table is bowed, and I pull it down with a clamp, and then get all the pocket holes drilled in there, and that'll hopefully keep the table flat. And I'll screw in the legs.
Alrighty, so now,
Here I'm cutting the long section of the table skirts. I measure it and get it about right, a little bit longer than it needs to be, and then I'll cut it and start backing in a little bit, just taking off a little bit at a time. I rather cut to fit than measure to fit on stuff like this, because you could always be a little off, and if you cut it too short, then you're out of luck. You can always cut more off, you can't cut more on.
Pocket hole time, pocket hole time, pocket hole time, I love my pocket hole.
I feel like I deprived you of pocket hole footage at the beginning of the video doing the short skirt, the first one, so I'm going to make sure and get all the other pocket holes. Like I said, I love pocket holes. I think they're great. They're super strong, and they just, I don't know, make the projects look better because you can't see all the screws. And as you can see here, there's a little bit of a gap on this, but we'll just clamp it down and get it super straight. I did go ahead and pocket hole these up and got everything really, really straight. I was kind of surprised, honestly, but we went ahead and glued up the shorter ends of the edge, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. I just glued and clamped it on like that, and I was going to do some braces. It did not work out, so I just decided to screw at about a 45-degree angle right there to secure the edge to the skirts. Alright, we got the moment of truth coming up here. Clean the spot out and make sure this thing sits level. I'm pretty sure that's going to, and lo and behold, it does. So now all we got to do is chamfer the edges, sand it down, and I'm going to sand it quite a few times. There's some weird glue spots I tried to get there with the sander, but got to do chamfers on the edges, and then I think we will be just about done. Then we'll get with the lacquer and make this thing shine. Well, I hope you like routing, because I did a lot of it. I'm chamfering the edges so there's no sharp corners. I don't want my little guy there to be under the table playing and then come out and have a sharp corner to hit his head on. So we'll get this all done. I'm going to sand it a heck of a lot more as well. Make sure everything's really smooth, and then we will take it out in the driveway and lacquer it up. All right, let's get this thing out in the driveway. Give some padding so we don't mess up the brand new top. All right, so let's get this thing finished. About to spray on the finish, so literally gonna finish it. Um, Hopefully it looks good. I'm gonna start on the bottom. Uh, that that way I can kind of get used to the gun and the spray and everything. If I start messing up, who cares? It's the bottom, and hopefully by the time I get it flipped over and I'm doing the top, I've learned a thing or two, and it looks better or looks good. Hopefully the bottom looks good too, but again, we'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I need to turn off that fan, get my breathing apparatus on, and get to spraying. So wish me luck, and I'll see you shortly. So I put a few coats on here, 5 total. Um, I was debating whether or not to sand in between, and I decided not to. I don't think that was a bad move. Probably wasn't the best move, but I did sand at the end. I didn't record doing the top, but oh well. We'll get to see it. I hope you like this video. If you do, like and subscribe. There's a whole series, 2 other videos doing the legs and the torsion box top for the table. But like I said, like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Leave some comments below. And look out for some more videos coming out. I got some cutting board stuff. Maybe a coffee table. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching.
These two far apart. Perfect. Okay. Let's do that. Get one of these clamps back. Whoa!